In today's lesson, I'm going to show you how to play the guitar solo from Blue Eyes, Cryin in the Rain by Willie Nelson. Now, this solo isn't too difficult. The trickiest part of it is really getting the feeling. It's not just like a super straight up rhythm. There's a lot of notes where they're really soft, and it's a really good solo that for like learning the other things about soloing. If you want to learn how to play through this entire song, I have a separate lesson for that where we go over all the chord shapes and the strumming and all that stuff. But in this one, it's just the guitar solo. The first bit that I want to learn goes like this. So the first little bit is going to mainly take place on these three notes right here. That's at the 9th fret on the D, G, and B string. And I recommend putting your tip of your finger on the D string and then rolling it and then rolling it and rolling back. Just get used to that motion because we're going to be using that a lot. Just rolling it along those strings. The first thing I want you to learn is to go like this. So 9 on the D string, we roll to the 9th fret on the G string, and then we play the 7th fret on the B string. And then we pluck the 7th fret and slide up to the 9th fret. So pluck, slide, all in one motion. Then we're going to replace our first finger with our 3rd finger, and we're going to do a bend. Bending is a whole other thing. I don't want to get too far into it. But basically, we're bending from this pitch to that pitch. And once we get to the maximum part of our bend, we're going to touch the string with our pick or with our finger or whatever to mute it. See how it just cuts off the note? Then we let it go and we pluck that string again. So just try that. Bend, mute, return to normal, play the 9th fret. Bend, mute, 9. Bend, mute, 9. Here's what we have so far. And Willie Nelson, you'll notice in his playing, he uses a lot of vibrato. Where you can hear I'm really overdoing it here just so you can hear it. To do vibrato in the same style that he does it, all you're doing is kind of just wagging this part of your hand. You pinch the note with your thumb and finger, and then you just kind of wag your hand. And that'll jostle this finger enough to get it. There's once again, just like bends, vibrato, I can make a whole course on vibrato. There's just so many little things and everybody does it in their own little way. For now, just try your best. Little bit right there, then little bit right there. Moving on, the next part. So that's all 9th fret. Starting off on the D string, 9, roll, 9. Then we put the tip of our finger on the 9th fret of the B string. Do the same sort of thing where we bend, mute, release it, and then pluck the 9th fret. And then we play the 9th fret of the G string. Here's what we have so far. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Next, we have a pretty simple part. We're just gonna hold down the 7th fret of the highest string, the 9th fret of the B string, and we just pluck these 2 high strings, go down 1 fret, go down 1 fret. So we're just moving one shape. The real trick with this part is making the note on the B string stand out. Because whenever we play it, if we just pluck the two of them, we're mainly hearing, but that's not the actual melody note. When you listen to the solo, this is the note that stands out. And he kind of staggers it. He's not just picking through it, he's going, there's a bit of space between those two notes. Moving on, the next bit goes like this. So for that one, we're on the 9th fret of the B string, 9, 7, then we go all the way to the 9th fret on the D string, then the 10th fret on the B string. So there's a bit of a string skip. Just try that. And to finish off, 7th fret, 9th fret on the B string, and then we lightly hit the 7th fret. This whole thing's super slow. 1, 2, 3. Let's backtrack a little bit. Let's go from this part. Let's start there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And rhythmically, like if you were to put this out on a grid visually, and the beat's like, the beat is the beat. It's just like the marker point for where we're at. He's a little bit behind the beat on those, and that adds like a bit of like a country drawl to it or something. I don't know. It just makes it feel really loose, really, really like sweet and beautiful sounding, So keep that in mind, that he's kind of like pulling back on a few of the notes. That's a bit more of an advanced thing. I'd mainly focus on like getting the notes in the right order and pretty much in the right place. But as you put this more and more together, there are all these moments where you can kind of just feel him like pulling on the time. He's a super underestimated guitar player. If you look at how like legit he is compared to all these other country guitar players, like he is very, very good and just has such a nice feel. So that is one thing that I would learn from Willie Nelson. You're not going to learn like a bunch of crazy country licks like or whatever. Like you're going to learn really how to play sweetly and how to really sing on guitar. And those are the things I pay attention to in this one. Anyways, that's about the first half of the solo. Moving on, the next bit that we're going to learn goes like this. And that is pretty much like the first bit, except we just pluck a few notes a couple extra times. So, the first bit went, and this part starts the same way. And now here we go. So we pluck the 9th fret a couple extra times. Then we do the bend, mute, release it, pluck it again. Let's try that whole phrase. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Moving on. Once again, this is all really similar. This lick, we just keep playing it just in a little bit of a different way each time. This time we're gonna go. So 9th fret on the D string, 9th fret, 7th, 9th, bend, mute, pluck the 9th fret, and we slide to the 7th fret, and then play the 5th fret. And when we slide down from the 9th fret to the 7th fret, we're gonna take our time. We don't do it right away. It's not like, or, it's, we kind of go down at the last possible second. That whole phrase. The next bit. So starting the same way, and then 7th fret, we slide up to the 9th fret quickly, and then back to the 7th fret. Just try that. So I pluck it and I slide up, all in the same motion, and I slide back. And now, so there I just went 9, 7, the 9th fret on the D string, and then here another one of those slides where we go up, down, then 5, 5. So let's go over that whole second half now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Cool, so at this point we just have the very last bit where it kind of gets us ready to go back into the chorus. And for this part, it's some chord shapes. Let's just go through the shapes. We're holding down the 3rd fret of the A string, then the 2nd fret of the G string, and the 4th fret of the B string, just like this. Makes a diminished chord. And we just go pluck through them like that. A, G, B. And then we move that shape down by 1 fret. And we pluck it like this. So A, G, B, A. Then we lift off these 2 fingers, put our first finger on the 1st fret of the A string. Same pattern, so A, G, B, A. And then we're back to the strumming. Day when we meet up yonder. You know, so that whole part. Once you get the notes, the only tricky thing is when to start it. It actually starts on the and after 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And I think that is a super cool turnaround. You know, if you bust that out in a blues or something at a jam, like people, it'll turn some heads. It's a really, really neat, harmonically, like super dissonant, but like it settles so well into that 4 chord. Really, really cool. Anyways, we've taken a look at all the parts of the solo. Let's just once again do a little phrase by phrase breakdown. I'm just gonna play through each phrase so that way you can learn it this way. You know, I recommend we're gonna learn in like 10 little phrases and then you can practice gluing them all together. So the first little bit, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Next phrase. 1, 2. Next one. 1, 2. Three, 4, 1, 2. Three, 4, 1, 2. Three, 4, 1. One, 2, 3. One, 2, 3. Cool, so practice it just like that in chunks. And once you have each of those chunks, we're gonna practice putting it all together. Here we go, nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. 2. Right on. So that's how you play the solo from Blue Eyes Cryin' in the Rain by Willie Nelson. And I want you to practice it just like that, in chunks and then putting it all together. And even if you don't really get to the phase where you put it all together, each one of these licks is going to be really handy. Just taking the time to learn even the first one is going to make you a little bit better at your lead playing. It'll make you hear things a little bit better. You're always going to be growing as long as you're trying. It's not about succeeding at this, it's just about trying to do this. So keep that in mind, especially if you're having some trouble. And I know earlier on in the lesson, we talked about vibrato a little bit. Basically, anytime you're holding a note in this song, like anytime the note gets held a little bit longer, just try to throw some on there, just experiment with it. And over time, it'll get better. When I was first playing guitar, I couldn't do that motion. I could never, my arm didn't move fast enough, but I just took some time with it, going through the motion nice and slow, and eventually it all does come together. But just focus on where you're at right now. If you're trying to get the notes and all that stuff together, focus on that. You can always add the vibrato later. You can always add those finishing touches, get the bends perfect, get all that stuff happening, all the timing. You can always do that down the road. I think that listening to the solo 1 billion times, maybe 1.5 billion times, that is going to do so much for you, because it's going to teach you to anticipate when the notes are coming. That'll help out your rhythm a ton. Anyways, have fun with this one. Don't forget to check out, I have a bunch of resources. I never mentioned them, but if you need any help, I have an ebook for lead guitar that's completely free. There's a link to that one down below. Anyways, have a fun time practicing. I'll see you soon.